In an effort to enhance ag resources overseas, congressional representatives, along with rural electric cooperatives, visited Guatemala in early March to install electricity and water filtration systems. Lineman Kyle Hoffman of Ohio's Electric Co-op led the trip. Sounds like you got out there just in time. He joins us now for a recap. And Kyle, why Guatemala?
There are a lot of places around the globe that are still without electricity, and Guatemala has been an area through NRECA that they've kind of looked at and said this is an area where we as cooperatives can go and help people that are without electricity around the globe. And for Ohio, that's primarily been in Guatemala for our three projects.
Wow, talk about what this electricity means to these small communities.
No, it means everything that it meant to those in the United States back in the 30s and 40s. When you look at rural America, when the Roosevelt administration in 1935 put the Rural Electrification Act into play, there was a need, a desire, and a want for electricity in our rural and farm communities, but they needed help to get that done. And the Roosevelt administration enabled that, and look at the growth and the ability that the rural communities had to drive the economic engine of America at that point in time. So when you look at this, you think about that's what we're doing for these folks in Guatemala and other places around the globe, is providing them with that same resource and opportunity that we ourselves needed just some time ago.
We just love hearing stories like this, especially right now, and the timing is everything. Talk about what it means to know that you were able to get that electricity connected for some of these people in small areas right before the crisis really took hold of the world.
Yeah, I mean, when we left to go down there, we obviously knew about the coronavirus, but we had no idea that it was going to take root and rapidly gain the way that it did, and cause the kind of the frustrations that it has across our country and for that matter the globe. But once we understood that we were up against a gun, I mean, there were 16 guys that were down there that were committed, and their hearts were in the right place to help these people in the best ability that they could. And once we knew that we were up against a gun, it was all hands on deck, and everybody did a great job. They worked safe, but they worked productively, and everybody's mission was to not leave until we could get them power. And we were able to do that just in the nick of time before we were pulled out to get home.
God, that's so beautiful to hear. Talk about the children. I mean, what is it like when they see a light bulb going on for the first time? What were some of the feedback, the responses you saw once that electricity went on?
Well, this is our third project that Ohio's been able to do down in Guatemala. And unfortunately for this one, we were pulled out of there to get back home with the understanding that the borders and stuff were being shut down, and it was going to be very difficult, and we couldn't miss an opportunity to leave. So we didn't get to see them turn the lights on this time, but we got to hear the stories. And on the other projects, the children that have no idea of electricity, they look at that and they're like, my day doesn't have to stop anymore. I mean, when I think about electricity, these villages, I think about these families that their lives end when the sun goes down, and it begins when the sun comes up. Well, now with a light bulb in their room, and just in the living room of their very modest home, they now have the ability to interact as a family for a little bit more of a day, or to read books, or to educate themselves, or just the advancements that they can take. And I look at these young people and think that for them to grow up in a world with never not knowing what power and electricity is like, I mean, that's an amazing gift to give to people, that's for sure.
Especially if they have to shelter in place right now. What a beautiful story. Kyle Hoffman of Ohio's Electric Cooperatives, thank you so much for sharing with us.